What's going on, Port fans? Welcome back to another video on my channel, and today we're going to be previewing the round 3 clash between Port Adelaide and Fremantle, which will be happening this Sunday evening at 5:35 South Australian time at Metricon Stadium. So a neutral ground, one of the first neutral games at the Queensland hub that Port will be at for the next few weeks. So it's going to be a very interesting game, coming off a big win against Adelaide. Fremantle coming off 2 consecutive close losses to Essendon and Brisbane. It will definitely be a game where we'll be able to tell where each team is at heading forward through the shortened season. So let's get straight into this preview and see exactly who's going to take this one out. Plenty has happened since Showdown 48, and obviously, Port fans, we are still celebrating a massive win in the prison bars and pushing forward to where all the Guernseys in every showdown. So there's a petition to sign, so make sure you jump onto that petition and back the club in. There's already over 15,000 signatures, so make sure you get on board if you haven't already. And as well, you know, there's a lot of selection news. We have no Ryan Burton this week, and it's an interesting discussion, and it's a good problem to have, because now that we have a bit of versatility in the side, we'll no doubt be able to otherwise make a structural change. Whether Ollie Wines, I'll start with Ollie, that he comes into the side to replace Burton, and maybe we push Houston back and play that half-back role that he did before going into the middle. Or do we bring in a like for like? And I think with Ollie Wines playing a best-on-ground performance in the game, in the preview game on Saturday afternoon before the actual showdown, I think it might be a strong case for Ollie to come back in. Now, personally for me, I think it's a like-for-like change. You don't change a winning side, and it works so well. Burton is a very, very good and skillful player, so you bring someone in that can do the same job. And the front runner for that would definitely be Leonard, I think, because he played round 1, only came out because Bonner had to come back in after being a late withdrawal in round 1. I think Leonard's a like-for-like. Can he persist and become a regular in the 22? We'll have to wait and see, but I think certainly with his versatility, he's got some pace around him. He's got a good leg. I think he needs to if he gets the opportunity, take this by both hands, because there's a lot of players pushing down the door. The same with Jack Watts. He played his return game of footy in the scratch match showdown on the weekend, and apparently, from all reports, looked really good, really slick and ready to go. So he could be a smoky to come into the side this week. Don't know if they'll persist with that, or Ken would really want to. I think it's either going to be Ollie Wines or Ryan Burton, because Jared Leonard, because I don't think Ken would, or maybe he might. He might want a good feel-good story coming into round 3, and it would be a great story if Jack Watts does come in and indeed play. But I think you've got to be smart this week and play Leonard. Ollie Wines has another week, and then we go from there, because the midfield looked pretty strong and pretty consistent throughout the whole of Saturday night. Looking at Fremantle's side this week, selection-wise, there's going to be no Sean Darcy in the side, so Lobb is going to have to ruck solo, which I think opens the door for Jesse Hogan, which will be a massive in for Fremantle, and having an option down forward. Tom Cleary did have his work cut out last time they played last year, and I think with no McCarthy either, Wilson was a late out last week as well. I think there's a bit of I don't know what the word is. You don't know what you're going to expect with Fremantle, but the close losses between Brisbane and Essendon suggest that they are going to be a harder side to beat. A neutral ground probably does come in handy, but they have had the advantage of being up at the hub for an extra week. And I don't know. It's going to be interesting with their side. I think if we match up really well, you're going to have Fife versus Boak, no doubt about that. They played against each other the last couple of times, and they battled it out, and it was just a sight to see. And I guess, you know, Charlie Dixon does match up really well against them last game of last year when he played for him and kick a bag of 4 goals. So it's going to be it'll be an interesting one. I think this will be the closest game we'll have so far. I wouldn't underestimate Fremantle. They might be 0-2, but they've had a pretty competitive side throughout the year. Whereas Port Adelaide, obviously playing Gold Coast, to a bit of an unknown, beating West Coast, but then we thumped them before the bye, so maybe the bye was a big difference for them. And then Adelaide, who are just in shambles at the moment, they're just well, they're falling apart. But yeah, it's hard to tell about Port if you're looking from an outside view. Internally, for me personally, we're ready to go. We're driven, we look good, and we don't normally beat and pummel the sides that should be an easier win. Usually we'll have a tough contest and get over the line, and to know that we're punishing sides that aren't being as good is a very, very good asset to have, especially in this shortened season, because percentage is going to be everything, winning is going to be everything, and we need to be taking advantage of that. I think the big positive this week, though, looking at as a neutral fan, as a Port fan obviously, but as if you're a neutral fan, there's going to be another 2,000 people allowed at the stadium this week to support the boys. So fans will be allowed into all Queensland stadiums this week, and 2,000 people. That's, the amount of noise that 2,000 people made on Saturday night at the Showdown suggests that it can be a loud crowd. And I know if the Port fans that are living in Queensland, that'll be up there, they'll definitely, no doubt, be screaming loud and proud. So make sure you get out there, Port fans, because we need all the support we can get, because I think there'll be more than us than there will be Freo fans. So looking at this game in general, I think overall we do have the more balanced side, and I think it's hard to tell with Fremantle how exactly they're going to come out and play, but I think us coming up to the hub, we played Queensland really well, and we actually adapt to the conditions pretty quickly. And I think that's what comes with being a young side, is we're able to adapt to anything that we're given. Exactly. So with condition-wise, it could be dewy, it could be wet, it could be hot. We'll be able to adapt to that pretty quickly, because being a younger side, younger kids can be more adaptive to those types of conditions, and wherever they play, that they'll be able to do the job well. And I think based on that, and based on being a little bit more experienced and a little bit more connected as a group, I think Port Adelaide will get the job done. I'm tipping them to win by about 15 points. I think it'll be a close game, and they're not really the greatest games to watch, Port Adelaide versus Fremantle, but with the likes of Charlie Dixon in some good form, kicking 3 goals last week, you got the Connor Rosie, Zach Butters, Xavier Dersma, those young trio, they're looking exceptional. Travis Boak's in fine form, that bloke right there. And the dangerous Robbie Gray, who was really quiet last week, he doesn't have 2 quiet ones in a row. He'll definitely be looking to damage Fremantle. And I think as a collective, our back 6 just holds up against any forward 50. So I think with Cleary, Jonas, McKenzie, who's in great form, matchup-wise, we'll definitely be able to see. I think that they can move around as well, and they'll be able to be a bit more versatile on who they play on. Walters is probably one I'd be watching out for, and usually you'd play either Burton or Jonas on Walters, but you might be looking at a Darcy Byrne-Jones maybe Lena if he comes in to play on him. You just don't know, but Walters will probably push and float around a bit more, so we'll have to be a little bit aware of that. Well, that's it. That's the preview for round 3, Port Adelaide versus Fremantle. Let me know in the comments below what you're thinking about this week's game. I'm a little bit nervous, but at the same time, I'm pretty confident we will be able to get the job done and go 3-0 in a season that only has 17 games, which means every win counts. It's just another one that we have to overcome, especially in the hub. If we can go into the hub and be a pretty successful unit, only lose 1 or 2 games, and come out of it with a 4-2 record, a 5-run record, or however long we're up there. Don't lose too many games, and you're given an opportunity to be 2-0. You've taken it. You've worked hard for it. Now it's time to make it 3-0. So I think it'll be a very, very good game Sunday night. Thank you very much for watching, Port fans. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new for plenty more Port Adelaide and AFL content coming your way. My name is Anthony, and as always, count the pair.